Keep your options open. You have heard it your whole life. Stay flexible. Do not commit too early. Read the room. Decide in the moment. Adapt as things develop. It sounds like wisdom. It sounds like the patience of a man too intelligent to be rash. It is the most expensive lie you were ever handed. Because the open door you are so proud of keeping, the decision you leave unmade so you can stay adaptable, is not sophistication. It is an unlocked entrance. And every man who walks into a room with his decision still open has already told the other man exactly where to push. Let me show you the mechanics of it. Then I will show you the discipline almost no one has the stomach to run. In the year 1596, a boy of 13 stood in an open field to face a grown man. The man was Arima Kihei, a trained swordsman of an established school. Older, larger, schooled in the forms, the postures, the correct way to conduct a duel. The boy had none of that. What the boy had was a decision. Before either of them moved, the boy had already decided the man would not leave the field alive. Not hoped, not intended, decided. The matter was closed inside him before the first step was taken. The man stepped into it as a duel, a ritual, a contest, a thing with a shape and an outcome still to be determined. He was, in every sense, still deciding, still measuring, still inside the process of the fight. The boy was not fighting. The boy was executing. He closed the distance, threw the man to the ground, and struck him dead. 13 years old against a schooled adult. It was not the boy's skill that won. It was the gap between a man still deciding and a boy who had already decided. That boy was Miyamoto Musashi. He would go on to fight more than 60 duels and lose none of them. And across a lifetime of killing, he distilled the whole of it into a principle most men never grasp even once. You do not decide in the fight. You arrive decided. The fight is only where the decision is carried out. Now understand why this is not a story about swords. Here is the mechanic underneath it, the one they never taught you. A decision that is still being made is visible, and what is visible can be moved. When you walk into a negotiation, a confrontation, a conversation where something is at stake and your decision is not yet sealed, the other man feels it. He does not need to be told. He reads it the way a predator reads a limp. A live decision gives off a signal, and the signal is simple. This one is still open. And the instant he registers that it is open, something shifts. He stops responding to your words. He stops answering your position. He begins quietly to work on your decision, because he can see it is still in motion, and anything in motion can be steered. This is the tell. This is the thing being done to you in rooms you walk out of feeling vaguely defeated without knowing why. You did not lose the argument. You lost before the argument. The moment he saw the matter was not yet closed in you. Every "let me think about it," every softening of the number you just named, every "I am open to hearing you out," each one is a handle. And a man who finds a handle will pull it. The prey animal believes the danger begins when the predator strikes. The mechanics are older than that. The danger begins the moment the predator reads hesitation and understands the thing in front of him has not yet decided what it will do. Most men live their entire lives as that animal, deciding in the open, deliberating where they can be watched, handing every counterpart a live, movable decision, and wondering why they are always the one who bends. So, why were you never told this? Why is the advice always the opposite? Stay open, stay flexible, keep deciding as you go. Because the system that shaped you does not benefit from unmovable men. It benefits from movable ones. Look at the mechanics without flinching. Every institution you were raised inside, the school, the office, the committee, the polite society of agreeable people, rewards the man who keeps his decisions open and quietly punishes the man who arrives with his closed. The flexible man is called mature, reasonable, a team player, a man who keeps an open mind. Understand that these are not compliments. They are the words a system uses to praise the men it can still move. The flexible man has good optics. The sealed man does not. Nietzsche saw the machine underneath the manners. The herd, he said, rewards the qualities that make a man manageable and calls them virtues, not because those qualities serve the man, but because they serve the herd. An open decision is manageable. A sealed one is not. So the culture floods you from boyhood with the instruction to stay open and dresses your own governability up as your intelligence. Understand the scarcity at work. A man who cannot be moved is rare, and rarity is leverage. The system does not want you holding leverage. It wants leverage held over you. So it manufactures the opposite instinct and lets you believe you chose it. You think you keep your options open because you are wise. You keep them open because you were trained to, by people for whom your open decision was the single most useful thing about you. The flinch feels like yours. It was installed. Now the cold part. The translation from comfortable to true. There are two kinds of men in every room where something is at stake. The first enters to decide. He arrives with the question still open. Should I hold? Should I fold? How far will I go? And he intends to work it out in the room, in real time, reading the other man, adjusting as he goes. He calls this being present, being adaptive, being smart. The second enters having already decided. The question is dead. It was killed somewhere private before he ever walked in. He is not there to determine the outcome. He is there to collect it. The first man is negotiating with himself, while the second man watches. And a man negotiating with himself in front of an opponent has already lost. He simply does not know it yet, because the loss is quiet and wears the face of open-mindedness. Here is the paradox that governs all of it. The man who refuses to decide in advance, in the name of keeping his power, has given his power away. And the man who kills his own decision before the room, who narrows himself to a single closed outcome, walks in holding all of it. You do not become powerful by keeping every door open. You become powerful by shutting the one that matters and letting no one see the lock. This is what it means to be untouchable, not armored, not invulnerable. Untouchable in the exact sense that there is no longer a handle. You can be refused. You can even be beaten, but you cannot be moved, because nothing in you is still in motion for another man to reach. So, how does a man actually do this? Not in a field with a sword. In your life, this week, in the rooms you will really walk into. Watch yourself in 4 places. These are where the open decision bleeds out of most men. The first, the raise, the price, the fee. Any conversation about your own worth. You name a number, and before the other man has said a single word, you have already softened it in your own mind. You entered, still willing to be talked down, and he can see it. He does not even have to argue. He simply waits, because you are already arguing against yourself on his behalf. The man who enters, decided, names the number as a fact, not an opening bid. And the silence after it is not his to fill. The second, the boundary. You tell someone what you will and will not accept, but you set it with the exit already privately open, a version of you already prepared to let it slide if holding it gets uncomfortable. That prepared retreat is not invisible. It is the whole reason the boundary gets tested and then crossed. A boundary you are secretly willing to abandon was never a boundary. It was a request. The third, the walk away. You threatened to leave. the job, the deal, the arrangement. But you never actually decided to leave. It is a bluff. And a bluff is a decision left open, dressed as a decision made. The other man calls it because he can feel the difference between a man who has decided to walk and a man performing the willingness to. Decide it for real, in private, accept the cost, and you will find you rarely have to say it out loud at all. The fourth, the standard, the thing you claim to stand for, right up until standing for it costs you someone's approval. And then, quietly, you fold it away and tell yourself you were only being flexible. That fold was preloaded. You carried it in with you. In every one of these, the loss is not in the room. The loss already happened, before the room, in the man who never closed the decision and carried the open door in with him. So here is the discipline. It is simple, and it is brutal, and almost no one will run it. You decide alone, before, where no one can watch and no one can push. You take the outcome you are most afraid of, the no, the loss, the walkaway that actually costs you something, and you accept it in advance. You carry it in as if it has already been paid, not as a risk you are bracing against, as a price already spent. When the worst outcome is already accepted, there is nothing left in the room for anyone to threaten you with. You cannot be moved by the loss of a thing you already let go of.
And now the distinction that separates this from mere stubbornness, because a rigid man is not a strong man, and Musashi would have cut a rigid man to pieces. You seal the decision. You do not seal the path. The end is closed. The means stay water. What you will not reopen is the question of whether you will hold. That is dead, decided, gone. But how you get there, the words, the timing, the angle, the 1,000 small adjustments a real exchange demands, that stays completely fluid. This is Musashi's unmoving mind, and it is the most misunderstood idea in all of strategy. The unmoving mind is not a rigid mind. It is a mind so settled at the root that it is free to flow, to adapt, to answer everything in front of it, precisely because it is not wasting itself redeciding the one thing already closed. The rigid man is stuck on the surface. The sovereign man does not move at the root and therefore moves freely everywhere else. Fixed at the core, fluid at the edge. That is the whole art. Now understand what this will cost you, because I will not pretend it is free. To decide alone in advance and accept the worst outcome as already paid, this is not a technique you perform. It is a weight you carry. Most men cannot carry it. They will read this, they will nod, they will feel the truth of it move through them, and then they will walk into the very next room with the decision still open, because the open door is comfortable and the sealed one is heavy. They would rather stay movable and be liked than be unmovable and stand mostly alone. That is the real filter, not intelligence, not talent. The willingness to close a door and accept what closing it costs. Because a sealed decision means you own the outcome. There is no one left to blame, no room to renegotiate with yourself later. No comfort of, well, at least I kept my options open. You decided, you carried it. Whatever came from you. Most men will not take that weight on. They keep the door open not because it serves them, but because an open door lets them avoid the full weight of being the one who chose. So this is the line, and only you know which side of it you stand on. On one side, the men who will keep deciding in the open, keep handing over the handle, keep walking out of rooms vaguely defeated and never once seeing why. They are the many. The system is built for them, and it will keep them comfortable and movable to the end. On the other side, the few who will do the hard, private, unglamorous thing. Kill the decision before the room, carry the cost in advance, and become, quietly, the one man in every room who cannot be moved. I have shown you the mechanics. I have shown you the discipline.
What I cannot do is close the door for you. That part was always going to be yours.